Hello and welcome to round 2 of the RACEDATA AI ARL Prototype Championship. Tonight we head to the circuit. These GTP and LMP2 cars were made for more than any other. Le Mans, the host for the most famous racing event in the world, is this evening hosting a 75-minute race, all of which will be covered by myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, with Lee Thompson bringing you this stream on Apex Racing TV. Hopefully you are all very well this evening. Let us know how you are in the YouTube chat. And currently we are in about the midway stage of this qualifying session. 20 minutes of qualifying for our drivers to tackle. And we've already had the majority of our laps set by the LMP2 cars, with the GTP cars soon to be going out on circuit. But we should have the championship points available for our drivers going into this round. Only one round of the championship completed so far. It was at Monza last week in a 60-minute event, and it was Norbert Tamas, the defending champion, who was able to take a dominant race victory. His teammate Blaschowski in second place, and incredibly, Nucera and Segro, who were 3rd and 4th last season as well, up there in 3rd and 4th this season. But very much ominous signs in the opening round of the championship for the Manatee drivers. In the GTP AM standings, it was Jackson Bell who managed to take the race victory, was starting down the order, I think in 6th position on that occasion, but he still managed to get back to the lead. Ludovic Jurette in 2nd place, Paul Crawford having a solid round as well in 3rd. And in the LMP2 Pro standings, we had Benjamin Figueroa at the top of the standings. I don't believe Benjamin's able to make it tonight, so that will offer a chance for Aston Wilby and Simon Kraft to perhaps take the lead of the championship, as well as Michael Harfler-Darson, who will be taking part in his first race of the season tonight. And in the LMP2 AMS, we had Fabio Grassetto starting his season off to a strong start, one of our favourites for the title, delivering in the first round of the championship. You can see on screen a few of the drivers coming back to the pits at the end of this LMP2 qualifying. A few drivers still crossing the line though. They can complete the lap that they start before their 10 minutes is up, but I'm not seeing too many improvements. Huygen across the line, can he move his way up? It seems not. So that will be our 8 drivers who have done times. We've got many more, or a few more at least, LMP2s out there, but we're not able to set lap times in that qualifying session, so perhaps a couple of 1Xs. It is a tricky qualifying for our drivers today because they only have time for 2 laps. Each of the car classes have a 10-minute slot on the circuit, and that is only enough time for an outlap and 2 quick laps. Michael Harfler-Darson came out of the pits a little bit later. He's also started the season a little bit later than his rivals. Wasn't able to make round 1 of the season last time out at Monza, but he's looking to immediately get back some points. Easy to pick up a 1X, and he carries a lot of speed in, did Harfler-Darson. Maybe lost a little bit of speed, and again, too much pace. And did he pick up a 1X? At the final chicane, he really pushed it to the limit. He just came in with too much speed into both those chicanes, and it really told in the lap time. Ended up being a 34.26. To be fair, if there's any consolation for him, he was 0.6 off the next time Silas Craig Rollick. I imagine he'll feel like he could have maybe beaten Silas, but then beyond that was another 0.7. So probably only cost Harfler-Darson 1 place on the grid, which, considering that he was regularly one of the front-running LMP2 drivers last season, might be a little bit ominous for the Swede. But that's the end of the LMP2 qualifying, and we now have our GTPs out on circuit, looking to post the best lap that they possibly can. And you might see on the timing tower at the moment, we've actually got the LMP2 AMs above the LMP2 Pros. Now, the way that our scoring software figures out which should go ahead is basically which has set the faster time. And right now, definitively, there's not going to be any more laps in the LMP2s. John Williams, an amateur driver, actually setting the fastest lap in the LMP2 qualifying. So, really impressive there from a few of our AMs. And you've got Grassetto up there, Mercer up there, Silas Craig Rollick up there as well. All posting really strong times, so some mighty efforts there. And, it looks very, very competitive at the front of our LMP2 order, especially with no Benjamin Figueroa tonight, who was really dominant last time out at Monza. I'm sure will be dominant in future rounds as well when he returns. But let's pay attention to these LMP2 cars and their first run down, at least at qualifying speeds in the Mulsanne Straight. Of course, the 2 chicanes that they have to navigate midway down the straights. And Belastrowski navigating his way nicely through there. And of course, not picking really up any draft from the cars ahead, but Manatee in round 1, they looked very strong, and earlier on in practice, they looked very strong as well, particularly Troshki, who set the fastest time of anyone. Often is second best to his teammate Tamas. We saw that last season, we saw it in round 1 of this season as well. But looking very much to reverse that for today. Interesting box in chat saying LMP2 AM above LMP2 Pro. Well, that is the case at the moment. that our amateur drivers have been able to beat the pro drivers. I've got a couple of pro drivers who didn't set times. James Ibram, a very strong driver, he didn't set a lap time in the LMP2s. And Balint Pala as well. Both of them about 5k iRacing. Neither of them being able to put in a lap. And also Lucas Diaz as well, one of the LMP2 AMs who was unable to put in a lap. We still got a couple of drivers actually weaving in the background there, which is confident driving, because even these GCP cars, as fast as they are, they will only get 2 laps because of the entire outlap that they have to do, being this a qualifying in the form that it is, with everyone out on track with one another. It's not a lone qualifying like we would see in an official series qualifying. And so it is risky to sacrifice your first lap. Seemingly Noah Thomas is pushing absolutely full to the max. And of course, through the Porsche curves this season in the GTPs, these cars are mega. They will probably never be this fast again. And of course, with the LMP1s gone, and the hypercars doing very well at the moment in real life, you probably won't see really any cars go that fast through the Porsche curves for a long time in iRacing. We don't really tend to have any F1 cars, which are the only cars which are faster than this machinery. So very much appreciate it. Certainly the drivers should. And Norbert Thomas crosses the line for his first lap time, and it's a 3:16. I think we did see a 3:14 in practice from his teammates. So there might be some movement for improvement. Toshki did get into the 15s there, 15.8. And they are quite far clear of the rest. Laubscher goes to 3rd place. Hugo Prieto, actually 3rd place overall. So once again, a few of the AMs doing well. We've got some smoke at the final chicane. That is why we've got a car stationary and rejoining the circuit. And that was Ludovic Juret, I think, who had to rejoin the circuit at the end there. So at the moment, it's Tarushki and Tamas. You can see the big gap. Of course, Lucera did do an extra warm-up lap. So he's got enough confidence that he feels like he can deliver on this second lap, as Matt James will be one of the last drivers to cross the line. And my prediction maybe of having only 2 fast laps maybe actually was a little bit wrong, because the lap times are down to 3:15, which anyone who can do basic maths, 3:15, 6:30, and then 9:45. So if you're really quick out of the pits and you push on the outlap, maybe they could edge in an extra lap with like 2 seconds to go. I'm not entirely sure, but we will see if that happens with anyone. I don't think they'll quite make it. I don't think it's advantageous to push on your outlap, but we will see. Michael Halfter-Darson saying that he, or hinting at least, that he might be ill today. Hopefully hopefully the adrenaline kicks in, Michael, and you can get up the order in your race. But yeah, best of luck. Trying to get some good points on his first race of the season. Antonino Segre, yet to put in a lap time, didn't even set an eligible lap time actually the first time round, which I don't think was deliberate. You can sacrifice your lap by going slowly, but I don't think he deliberately picked up a 1x or a slowdown. They're pretty much as easy as one another to pick up around this circuit. This is one of them. No curb on the inside. Those bollards are ghosts. You will just drive straight through them. But if you cut that Mulsanne corner too much, you will pick up a slowdown. Didn't seem like Segre was taunting it too much there, and he's able to keep up his pace. He has got a little bit of traffic in front of him, and whilst that might be giving him the tiniest of drafts, and I really don't think it will be really any draft here, could well be some turbulence through the Porsche curves. I'm not quite sure if his position is kind of the best place. I think that's Julian Retti. Unfortunately, is a quick driver, is Julian, currently up in 6th place on the grid. But Segre is getting ominously closer, and he will be hoping that Retti doesn't make any mistakes in the closing part of this lap. So is anyone going to cross the line before the 20 minutes is up? Norbert Thomas might just make it. And I think Norbert Thomas is going to make it by about 5 seconds, and we'll get 1 extra attempt, but he's not going to use it. He got a 1x, and that will be the end of his qualifying session. So no one's going to go for the 3 laps, but it was possible if you got out straight away in qualifying. Simone Nucera going for his first proper lap, And he clips the gravel, and I hope that's not a 1x for Nucera. And it may have been, because he did not improve. That is bad news for him. What about his teammate? Doesn't go quite so wide. The car ahead of him did go very wide. Can Sigrid get up the order? He can. He goes up to 3rd place, nearly a second slower than Turoshki. But that's solid work there for Sigrid, and a lot better than what his teammate did. Benoit Favre trying to improve on scare front of the few of the arms, I imagine, but I don't think... Maybe he did improve. Although he was a long way off. He's 11 seconds off, so no, I don't think that was an eligible lap time for him. Matt James leaving it a little bit late. We've still got Paul Crawford as well. Got a lot of drivers not setting lap times. I mean, out of the 33 drivers that we got out here today, 9 of them haven't done lap times so far. Even more than that, maybe 12 of them haven't done lap times. But James does do a lap time in the end. Moves up to 14th place, faster than one of the GTP drivers. Paul Crawford, who had a good round 1, he moves up into 10th. That's solid there for Paul. That's 5th out of the AMs, and just behind his teammate Ethan Moreau, who he was fairly evenly matched with. Francois Ramos is the last driver to set a lap time, and his lap at the moment is looking not very good because he's decelerating through the Porsche curves. So that's it for him. It wasn't looking like the best lap in the world. I think he'd set a couple of personal best sectors, but there's a lot of sectors on this lap. So 3 of them were not personal best, 2 of them were. And so that will be the end of his qualifying. Thanks to our sponsor, of course, for this season, RACEDATA AI. RACEDATA AI is a user-friendly telemetry tool which is helping sim racers improve their performance. It provides clear and simple insights into driving data, making it easy to spot mistakes and areas for improvement and get faster on the track from day 1. And they are very pleased to be sponsoring the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship, our RACEDATA AI, because they are helping the sim racing community. And of course, that app works not just on iRacing, but a couple of other racing sims as well. So do check out RACEDATA AI. There's a link to them in the description below. It is really useful for getting faster on iRacing. Like, if you're looking for extra pace and you want your telemetry to be interpreted and picking out areas where you can improve, that is what RACEDATA AI is for. So do certainly check out the link in the description below. We have the grid then for this evening's race. It's 75 minutes. Don't think I mentioned that before, but it is a longer event. Should make some fairly interesting tactical calls, particularly in the LMP2s. But Blaž Turovsky is top of the GTPs, ahead of Norbert Tamas, then Antonino Sigre. Hugo Prieto, great performance from him, up there in 4th overall and top of the GTP AMs. He was very quick in practice as well, so expect him to keep that form up during the race. There's Ivo Laubscher, Richard Jepp, or Richard Jepp, apologies Richard for pronouncing your name the wrong way. Julian Vetti is in 7th place, ahead of Cedric Holbom. In 8th, there's Ethan Barone, Paul Crawford, Francois Ramos, Zoltan Bedo, Diogo Solipa, Simone Nucera way down the order, Matt James, Benoit Favre, Alex Barber, Ludovic Juret, Christian Malturek, Leo Leung, Jordan Rhodes and Liam Kelso. At the front of the LMP2s is an AM, John Williams up there, ahead of Fabian Siegman. There's Fabio Grassetto, of course, championship leader in the AMs, Matthew Crisp in 3rd. Then we have Nick Mercer, Aston Wilby, Silas Craig-Rollick, Michael Hafler-Darson, Joris Ooms, Melvin Huygen in 32nd place. And then behind him is just 3 more drivers, Ibram Pala, who are both pro drivers, so expect them to gain places, and Lucas Diaz, rounding out the order. Pleased to have Matthew Crisp watching along with us, mentioning how a couple of drivers may have bottled qualifying in order to get into the tow. Could be a strategy. And of course, in the LMP2s, fuel saving might be significant tonight. Usually a tank in the LMP2s goes about 35 to 40 minutes. This is a 75-minute race. So obviously that is pushing the tank to the limit in terms of pulling off a 1-stop. So they may have to save some fuel in the LMP2s. The GTPs should be easier. Should be about 45 minutes they go into the race. And then they should be able to continue normally from that point onwards. And yeah, have an easier time of it by not having to take a full tank of fuel. The field will probably divide slightly. And the start zone around this circuit is about 50 meters before the green flag comes out. So do watch for the drivers to get through those chicanes. These are fairly big cars, and so it can be a bit of a pain to get them side by side through the final chicane. But they have been racing in the officials around this circuit recently, so hopefully they will be comfortable getting this race off to a clean start. The jets are overhead, and in fact I think we have got a car into the wall. They haven't even made the chicane, and they're already having issues. I think that was Diego Salipa, who seemingly just went hard left and then disconnected. Bad news for him, but Belash Turovsky, he is leading them away. The Porsche safety car comes in, and Turovsky will have to hold it just a little bit longer. They tried to get into two files here, and one of the drivers has launched a bit early. That could well be a penalty administered by iRacing, let alone the post-race stewards. They tried to give it up. It was Antonino Segro, who I think, or Hugo Prater maybe, who went too early, and that might really cost him significantly in a few moments' time. So it's Turovsky leading the way, and yes, Nucer as well across the gravel as well at the moment. And also Ivo Laubscher as well with a spin underneath the Dunlop bridge, and that is big contact for him in the front of the LMP2s. We have John Williams having a strong start. Fabian Siegmans are going to be under pressure from Fabio Grissetto in the Alcantech machinery, and he will try to hold on to that one through the first couple of corners. It looks like he has done so far. And so it's Turovsky leading the GTPs, and it's Williams still leading in the LMP2s, albeit Siegman is following him very closely through those first few corners. As Turovsky leads us into the first Mulsanne chicane for the first time. I got Cedric Holbom in the Simrace Sweden machinery trying to chase down Zoltan Beide. And in fact, there has been a change for second place. I think Norbert Tamas made a mistake, and Hugo Prater has moved up in second place, and he has got a slowdown. Has Tamas. They are very easy to pick up. And hopefully he has served his. Lap 1 slowdowns aren't as bad as they used to be in iRacing compared to about a year ago. But it's cost Tamas bad, and Turovsky does certainly seem to be the Man-City driver who had the momentum today. Spin for Jordan Rhodes. It wasn't a good qualifying for Rhodes. And oh dear, and that's embarrassing. That's the only word you can describe that. And he will be a long way off the field now. Benoit Favre, he's trying to gain pace. Barber's up 6, Favre up 4, Alchek up 6. But Marone down 5, James down 2. And also, of course, issues for Salipa, Laubscher and Nucera, who all got caught up in that instance under the bridge on lap 1. In the lead of the LMP2s though, Williams pulling away. There's not much of a draft in this LMP2 car, and so if you can have a bit of a pace advantage over the others, even around a circuit like this, you can break the draft. They are squabbling further back. This is Huygen ahead of Krag Volek. And this is Palla, who didn't set a qualifying lap. He hasn't really made much progress. He's got past Joris Ooms already, but he has yet to get past Lucas Diaz. Unfortunate for, yeah, so yeah, a couple of our, so it's just GTP, so we've had 5 GTPs having to go back to the pits already at the start of this event here at Le Mans. One of them, I think, was Salipa, who didn't even make the start, and then, yeah, 4 getting involved in a collision in the first few corners of the race. Still on board with Palla as they move through a little bit of the gravel. I expect the track to get more and more littered as the race goes on. The track does not get clean between sessions, and so all of the gravel that's got on the circuit during qualifying is still there, as Paul Crawford has had an off. And that is at the final chicane. It was a good start for Paul Crawford, actually. His teammate was one of the drivers who lost out and helped him gain a place. We've got a driver coming out of the pits as well. I think that is Salipa, who I guess is an entire lap down now. I hesitate to say, but I guess seeing that he didn't take the, I think he fully disconnected, had to quit out the session, rejoin, and so Salipa is an entire lap down now in the GTP standings. We tune back in with Hugo Prieto. He's got a couple of the fastest pro drivers behind him, and they might be freight training him here. And Prieto's going very slowly, and I think that's a slow down for him. He has seemingly overshot Tetra Rouge. It's a very common mistake to make. And he's still serving it. You can see he was not going on the throttle on the exit of the chicane. That is one of the worst slowdowns I think that you can pick up. And it is very much a story of this circuit that the curbs on the edge of the circuit don't really deter you from going beyond the track limits. And rather than 1Xs, you get slowdowns around this circuit. And so it can be very easy to pick them up. Still defending that second place is Antonino Seago. He's going to have to defend for a very long time if he's going to take defensive lines for the rest of the race. They're now 2 seconds off Turoshki. So not completely, not too far away, but Turoshki in practice was fastest, in qualifying was fastest, and he also got the best start of anyone as well. Prieto is very close to the back of Retty going into Mulsanne corner. Here they come. This could be a change for the amateur leads, but Retty was not able to pull it off. In fact, sorry, it's not the amateur lead because Ramos is ahead of both of them. Ramos started this race in 11th overall. He's now up into first. Oh, sorry, into 5th. He started the race in 6th in the AMS. He's into first in the AMS. But that is an incredible start for Francois Ramos. Meanwhile, Tamas has got his nose ahead into Indianapolis. This is risky stuff. And a little bit of gravel being picked up by Seago. He stays ahead. Will Tamas dive on the inside? No. Oh, but he's let himself down there as Seago, and he's almost into the wall. There is very little runoff at that corner, and Antonio Seago desperately tries to hold on, locks seemingly the front brake, and goes straight on. And pretty much has to back up, and that is disappointing for really the one man who he felt could challenge the Manatee Racing drivers today. But he has given himself a 10-second buffer to make up again. Really disappointing for him. So we'll get to see who jumped the start earlier on. I think it was Hugo Prieto who went for it, and yeah, managed to gain a few places. As yeah, in fact, maybe it wasn't Prieto, so it was another driver who took advantage of that one. And yeah, if they didn't get a penalty by iRacing, because they still might be yet to serve a penalty by iRacing, they most definitely will get a penalty from the stewards post-race. Jordan Rhodes just losing the rear end. You have to run a very little rear wing around this circuit, and that was maybe the cause of that incident. And here's the lockup from Seago. Maybe the curb unsettled him, but I think he's probably taken that curb a lot of times in the past. And Seago probably doing the wise thing there, rather than trying to pull the car all the way to the right, knowing that the car was not very grippy, and instead just backed up instead. We've got Alex Barber versus Dalton Beidou here. It's Barber on the inside, and it's Seago, after his off a moment ago, trying to get past the pair of them. Be very bold to go 3 wide here. And, well, I'm not even sure if there was contact there. It didn't look like there was contact, but the way that the car reacted made it look like there was, and Beidou does very much the Jordan Rhodes double spin. And rejoins. But if there was contact there, it was definitely netcode. But the way that that car suddenly twisted round very much made it look like there was some imaginary contact. I am not sure, honestly. If it was contact, then the car reacted in an extreme manner, but this is iRacing, so the contact model is not brilliant, and sometimes small taps like that can cause issues. That was Fabio, apologies, Nick Mercer, I think, getting past Matthew Crisp, who was talking earlier on in the chat, saying that he had a poor qualifying deliberately to get in the draft. Well, he's made up 4 places, has Matthew Crisp, albeit a couple of them are on the GTPs. In fact, we've had a remarkable lack of changes so far in this race, in the LMP2s. I think Mercer has got past Crisp. I think, sorry, one of the LMP2s has dropped back. But yeah, really, on the most part, the leaders of the LMP2s have pretty much stayed the same place. There you can see Williams, Siegman, Grosseto, Mercer, Crisp, Willoughby, and Harper Darson all in the same place in their division. In their car class, I think there may have been a couple of changes, but in their division, whether that be Pro or whether that be AM, they are where they started in this race. Joris Ooms is very close to Lucas Diaz. Diaz started right from the back. He's up 9 places overall. So he's 2 places up in his division. And he is ahead of Joris Ooms. And they are both ahead now of Huygen. One Belgian getting past another there. One max speed racing gyro getting past another. And once again, these LMP2s, if you're not familiar with these cars, have very little draft. Very, very little draft. An annoying amount of draft. As someone who's raced these cars quite a bit in the past, it is the worst element of them because they are fantastic cars to drive. No bop to worry about as well, which is always good. You know, it's absolutely down to the driver. And the multi-class element of it as well is usually fun as well with the faster cars and the slow cars with the GTTs and the GTPs, but the draft is not good. Zoltan Bedo is into the pits. And maybe that's a penalty for not serving a slowdown. Because we've seen a few drivers pick up slowdowns, but I imagine there have been even more than what we've seen. So that is not good stuff for Bedo. He will, of course, well, whenever you take a penalty in iRacing or a stop and hold, you can take fuel as well. And in fact, it's quite an important thing to untick everything. Otherwise, you get an extra 40 seconds. I think even a windshield tear, if you take that when you're serving a stop and hold penalty, you can get penalised heavily. Bedo will station for 13 seconds, which is strange. That's a strange amount of time, because that's not a 40-second hold, that's not a drive-through, it's not a fuel stop, unless he... Yeah, it's not a fuel stop, is it? Because I was thinking maybe he accidentally put the qualifying set on, but you'd take more than 13 seconds of fuel. So I don't know what happened to Zoltan Bedo, but he is now in amongst the LMP2s, which is not how he envisaged his race to go. But he's got over an hour to try to recover something from this. We've got Francois Ramos up 5 places from his race start. He was leading actually the LMP2 AMs, so the GTP AMs, not too long ago, but he lost a whole heap of time on the last lap, did Ramos. He lost 11 seconds on that last lap according to my timing screen. And so he lost that lead to Prieto and Vetti, who are now both ahead of him. Got Holbom as well, not too far back. So from a race which we were a bit concerned maybe that Prieto would dominate in the GTP AMs, looks very much alive now. Ramos has overshot that one. You could tell very early that he was not getting that one stuck with the way that he was rapidly closing the distance to the cars ahead. But kept it enough on circuit not to lose too much time. And looming in the background there as well is Antonino Sugo, who I have confidence will be able to pass all those drivers, but maybe at a cost to all of their pace. This is looking fun as well in the LMP2 AMs, or the LMP2s overall, because John Williams is ahead of Fabian Siegman, and then it's Fabio Grosseto. Grosseto, of course, took the race win last time out in the LMP2 AMs, but Williams did lead after the pit stops. I think Grosseto took tyres, so he may have taken that back anyway, but I think Williams got involved in a collision with another car, with a GTP in fact. I don't think it was actually his fault. And that cost him the race, or a chance at least at the race win. I think he ended up 3rd. And of course last season as well, Williams was consistently near the front. I think he may have even won 2 of the first 4 rounds of the season. But unfortunately had issues later on and eventually pulled out of the championship. So looking to make amends this season, and currently a race win in this race 2 of the season would be a good response. RACEDATA trying to make some impression on Siegman, but of course once again the draft doesn't make much of an impact, and Siegman's got what little draft there is from Williams as well, so it might be tricky. But if these LMP2s are in a fuel race, and we think they might be, because they only want to make one fuel stop in this race, and that might be tricky to do in a 1 hour 15-minute race because these cars go 35 to 40 minutes on a tank of fuel. It might be a case of who can save fuel rather than who is necessarily fastest. So if that is the aim, RACEDATA is doing well of it at the moment, being in the draft. Crisp still behind Mercer. He got past him a couple laps ago. In fact, RACEDATA has got past Siegman. Siegman has got a slowdown, and yeah, I'd almost forgotten how we don't visit this circuit enough for me to constantly remind myself of how bad the slowdowns are, but they are awful. And that was probably on the exit of the Porsche curves, or Maison Blanche, which my limited knowledge in French, my D in GCSE French, I think means White House. He picked up a slowdown right there. So bad news for him. We're now tuning in on Christian Malczek. Up 4 places in class. Had a poor qualifying. I don't think he actually set a qualifying lap, did Christian Malczek. But he's made amends for it. He's ahead of Ethan Marone, who of course had an awful start. We had a few drivers have incidents in lap 1 of the race. Don't know if we can get a replay of exactly what happened to Marone earlier on lap 1. Because I'm not sure if we necessarily saw it, but I think he was one of the first drivers to get a spin and drop to the back of the field. We might just get a replay of it now. In fact, yeah, this is Marone on lap 1. So this is actually a little bit later on in the lap, and yeah, just having a small excursion onto the gravel. And yeah, maybe that is just where he was, because yeah, nothing showing on our side for any incidents for him before that. Very close again between Pala and Ooms. Pala, of course, once again did not do a qualifying lap, and he's been making his way up since. He's recently got past Joris Ooms, but he is frustratingly far away from the leaders. This is a race that Pala, I think, would fancy his chances of winning. I mean, any of these pro drivers will be thinking with a amateur at the front that maybe this is their opportunity. No Figueroa tonight, and Harfler-Darson seemingly ill, at least he says, and, so maybe compromising his performance in that regard as well. So the door is maybe a little bit open. There was barely a door there for Malczek to get past Marone though. Marone spinning on the final chicane, and he is having a tough time, but we already saw him have an off on lap 1, and that is another off for him there. So Marone now down into 13th place overall. We haven't really talked about this man, Richard Jebb. What a performance. Up there in 3rd position for DCW Racing, apologies. However, he is being, well, I was going to say he's being caught. On that last lap, Prieto set the exact same lap time to him, to the 100th. But just looking at the timing screen, gaining a couple of tenths on the Mulsanne straight. Loses it, well, loses a good half of it at least through the first Mulsanne chicane. And they've got Julian Retti right behind. But yeah, this pack has stayed pretty close. Still Ramos is still fairly close. Holborn fairly close. Segro on the comeback. So 3rd down to 8th are all very close in this GTP field. Retti might be making his way past Prieto here, but it's not much of a braking zone at all into the second Mulsanne chicane, particularly with the pace of these GTP cars at the moment. Retti with an excellent profile picture as well. Of course, do check out the SDK driver information app. Any of the drivers in ARL leagues, they can follow the instructions in the ARL Discord in the tutorials channel. But if you're not part of that, and maybe you do some official series racing, or any racing really, on Apex Racing TV, do check out SDK-gaming.co.uk. And yeah, fill in the driver information app. It's a free download, and then your profile picture will come up on our broadcast. So that's what Julian has done, and it looks pretty neat, especially with this overlay. Retty having to go the long way round on Prieto. Prieto is 100th of a second ahead, and now he's a little bit more than 100th of a second ahead. This is too early to be going for any insane moves through Indianapolis. It is such a tricky corner, of course very banked, so the car hooks around very easily, but the rear end can easily go. Once again, these drivers have to run so little wing in order to get any pace around the circuit that it makes any of the high-speed corners a real challenge for them. Liam Kelso, by the way, has just got past Leo Leong, so he's up into 14th place overall. And Balance Pala has now got past Michael Halfter-Dawson. Man, Michael's really struggling. He just set a lap time 3 seconds off the pace. Must have been a slowdown. And I think that basically put him into the clutches of Pala. So Michael, credits him for being out there. But yeah, he is, I think struggling quite a bit this evening. But he, with the field fairly close, he could still recover a few places. Just got to make laps, as you so often do here at Le Mans. It's an absolutely iconic endurance circuit, of course, and it is a lot of fun to do the 24 hours here. Sprint racing, maybe not quite so much. It's very much a track featuring many, many long straights. And so, yeah, over a long distance, it can be quite satisfying to work away for hours on end to maybe make a 10-second gap. But in a sprint race, it's very tricky to make up that 10 seconds. Unless the driver ahead gets a few slowdowns, because yeah, down the straights at least, there's not much as a driver that you can do to try to bridge the gap to the driver ahead. Pala overshot Mulsanne corner slightly, and it's left him a little bit vulnerable, but I think Halfter-Dawson will probably just wait behind and try to follow him through the rest of the field. Of course, anyone who's watching along, please do let us know who you are supporting. We might well show them on the stream. And of course, any information that I might miss, please do let us know, because there's going to be a decent amount. So do let us know any thoughts that you have as well on the racing, and any predictions you have. Prieto and Retty are very close. I'm just seeing on the timing tower, they're down to 100th of a second. We might have a change for the lead here. Prieto, has he pulled this one off? They're going to remain side by side. This is fantastic racing over the curb, almost beaching the car slightly there was Retty. And Prieto is edging ahead. And he is just about ahead now. But this is some really tight battling. And Retty trying to get this move done. Prieto covering off the inside. And now maybe the cutback for Retty. This is going to be a good chance for him. But they've got to keep their heads here. This is still early in the race. Fuel saving might even be slightly advantageous. I'm sure if I had David Sampson, he would be reminding us of that. And he's absolutely right, says David, as someone who's driven this car a lot. He knows exactly how to go fast. But these guys aren't worrying about fuel saving at the moment. It looks like Retty is going to get that one done. The overspeed enough that even before Indianapolis came along, he was able to pull off the overtake. So he now leads in the GTP AMS. He can start chasing down Richard Jepp as well. That was a long manoeuvre there for Retty. It took him a while to pull it off, but he has been able to do so eventually. And yeah, Prieto's really strong pace in practice and qualifying. I don't think it's necessarily gone away, but it maybe just demonstrates that Retty perhaps did not perform at 100% in qualifying. Yeah, is now demonstrating exactly what he is capable of out on circuit. As we watch Antonino Segra, he's caught up to the back of this pack now. But he's already got past Cedric Holborn, to be fair. I think Holborn's probably the back of the pack. As Segra bouncing over the curbs, where his teammate had issues earlier on. in qualifying because his teammate Nucera is out of the race. Well, he's not actually out of the race. He had to take a tow, but Nucera is basically a lap down now on the race leader. So awful day for Simone Nucera, who has championship aspirations, but with the dominance of Manatee and a very low score tonight, undoubtedly for Nucera, they are looking unlikely. For the driver, I think, managed to get 3 race wins as well last season. Out of 10 rounds, Nucera was only beaten by Tamas in the end in terms of total number of victories in Season 8 of the Championship. And of course, if you want to join this season of the Championship, do sign up. Entries are still open at apexracingleague.com. We've got a pretty strong field, 35 drivers, but still a few slots available. So do sign up at apexracingleague.com. We do have a drop round as well, so dare I say, you still got a shot at the Championship. We have had drivers in the past miss the first 2 rounds of the season. Philip Hammer most notably in the Porsche Cup Series, and he won the title, so you can do it as well. Of course, that move just been completed there by Segre. He's past Ramos, so Segre up into 6th place now. And we've got this move as well, Ethan Morone, and this is Morone getting past Mountrex. So Morone with a couple of spins that we've seen tonight. And whilst his teammate Richard Jepp is doing very well for DCW Racing, Morone trying to recover a few spots. He's got 7 seconds now to catch up to Benoit Favre, so that will take a while to catch up. Maybe even the rest of the race for him to make up that gap. Of course, other circuits we'd maybe be talking about potentially the pit window opening now for the GTP drivers. 50 minutes on a tank of fuel is not unheard of in these cars. I think round this circuit, one of the highest fuel consumption circuits in the world, really Monza is maybe a rival for that, but and of course Daytona as well, but this might just be the most fuel consumption circuit in iRacing. The pit window probably isn't open. You probably want to go another 5 minutes. You don't want to be pushing the tank more than 45 minutes. As we tune in our leaders, Sebastian Trotsky, he is on fire today. A driver who was very much beaten comprehensively, it must be said, by his teammate Novas Tamas. He did well to hang on to 2nd place, did Trotsky. If I recall correctly, I think he held on to 2nd place, or was it? Might have to check back at the results actually. See, last time out, it was Trotsky. He managed to just about beat out Nucera. It was a tight battle between the pair of them. So he managed to beat Nucera out by a few tenths. But today, he is definitely faster than Tamas, and the writing was on the wall. In practice, he was about 8 tenths faster. And, of course, it is a long lap. It can be tricky to hitch up a lap around here. And, of course, you can get a draft as well. But it seems like it was indicative. Trotsky continues to pull away. That last lap, he actually lost a bit of time. Tamas with the fastest lap of the race. But pretty much every other lap so far in this race, Trotsky has been edging away. And with 4.5 seconds, he looks very tricky to beat. And of course it would put the 2 Manatee drivers on level points if the race ended like this. Richard Jepp is being caught. Also being caught is Paul Crawford. He's just been overtaken by Benoit Favre for 10th place overall. There you can see into the first corner. I'm not actually sure what corner that is called. That is Dunlop curve, not to be confused by the Dunlop chicane, which comes straight after it. So yeah, Dunlop curve is turn 1. But yeah, Crawford losing a spot there, but it is a pro passing an AM, which does count for points, but I think a lot of these AMs realise that generally the pros are faster and they will let them pass. A contradiction to that point, however, is this very battle, because we've got Richard Jepp, who is a pro, who is barely ahead of the amateur of Julian Retti. Retti has been catching Jepp since he got past Prieto, and he is catching big time here. It is a Ferrari catching an Acura, and the Ferrari is storming past. Richard Jepp moves up, Julian Retti moves up into 3rd position overall, and he is on really very good form today, is Julian Retti. Up now from 7th on the grid overall, and up into the top 3. Seemingly a slowdown for Jepp, and he will leak those places very quickly to Prieto and Segre. dare I say, might not be the worst thing in the world. Batsing can often cause you some incidents, as Nino Seagrave nearly found out right there, because he got unnecessarily close there to, or not unnecessarily close, he reacted well, but he was a little bit later on the brakes then. Break ahead. Got a bit of exit as well, and now you can try to use a little bit of the side draft to slow down his rival, pushing the air onto the rear wing of the other car. Don't know if that really is is anything in the GTPs, but well, maybe it looked like something right there. And Seago able to get ahead. John Williams is into the pits. Now this is very interesting and very much indicates that in this LMP2 class, Williams is not going to mess about with the fuel saving and trying to go to the end on one stop. He's pitting early and committing early to a 2-stop, which I'm very surprised about. I really thought that everyone would just go for a 1-stop. Of course, they need to get to, well, 37.5 minutes in order to make the 1-stop work, so that is really interesting. They basically have to go 2 more laps. They have to go, what, 10 laps on a tank. Williams taking tyres as well. I think he may as well take tyres because he's taking a full tank, I believe, 32 litres. The drivers aren't limited to the fuel tank capacity in this series. But yeah, he is back on his way. So he is the only LMP2 to come into the pits, is our former race leader, Williams. So that's a big call. And if everyone else goes 10 laps, then I fear for him, because no one else has really been, I mean, they were keeping up with him at least, so they were fuel saving, they weren't losing much time. Kelso, by the way, ahead of Leung, and that was, what's that, an overtake, or is he defending? I think he's actually defending. Oh no, that was Leung making a mistake, sorry, Leung made a mistake, and has just lost that place then. To Kelso for K1 Esports. We might have a move actually between Seagrave and Prato, which is surprising, because less than 1 lap ago we saw the reverse of this. We saw Prato lose out to Seagrave, but maybe Prato getting back in line again here. I think maybe Prato made a, sorry, Seagrave maybe made a small mistake, and now Prato to catch back up. Still 1 second behind Vetty. Of course, these GTPs will be considering coming into the pits as well fairly soon. The pit window is definitely open for them now, and of course they will probably take tyres as well, because you may as well. They're not much of a big advantage by taking tyres, but the fuel takes so long, and of course the fuel and tyres are taken simultaneously in both of these GTPs and LMP2 cars. I'm very curious now as to what the strategy is going to be from Fabio Grosseto at the front of the LMP2s. In fact, we just had a change of position, a couple of changes of position in the LMP2s. Pala versus Diaz. Pala making his way back up through the order. Might actually get a decent result today, Pala. And he's passed Diaz there, so that is good work from him. I think there was also some bats in between Harper-Darson and Laubschenko, but Laubscher is a GTP car, so there's not really much worth in that one. But Grosseto is coming fairly close to the pit entry here, so if he goes again, he will be, well, even if he goes one more, well no, if he goes one more lap, then he may as well do a 1-stop, right? But if he pits on this lap, then he's on a 2-stop. So we're going to find out if Williams has basically just gone for the same strategy as everyone else, or whether he is out of kilter. Maybe Harper-Darson is saving fuel, maybe that's his tactic. Oh, Grosseto does go another lap. So I am confused then what's going on with John Williams, because it seems like the 1-stop is possible. I mean, it's not even as though Grosseto has been, like, fuel-saving loads. He seems to be keeping up a decent pace. Lucas Diaz is into the pit, so he's not going to make it on one stint. Of course, anyone in chat who is shouting at the screen saying that I don't know what I'm talking about and that I'm missing something when it comes to strategy, please do let us know. But yeah, that's the way that I'm seeing it at the moment. That's the majority of the B2s are on a 1-stop, but a couple of them are on a 2-stop. Getting well out of the way there is one of the LMP2s. That is admirable. May have even been Melvin Huygen or John Williams, I'm not quite sure. But the main battle which is going on here is Junior Vetzi. He is being caught After making up a few places himself, it might be that the shoe is on the other foot in just a moment, because the man who's been overtaking might well be overtaken. Antonino Seco, after his slowdown earlier on, well, it wasn't even a slowdown, was it? It was an actual off that he had. That's Arnage. Yes, it was Arnage. Just the corner that Beidou is approaching right now. He has nearly made up all those places. Unfortunately for him, he's now 20 seconds off the Manatee Racing guys at the front, so I don't think Seago is going to be battling for a top 2 tonight, but it might be a podium for him, a first podium of the season. We're watching John Williams going for the 2-stop. Much to my confusion. One of the benefits, I guess, that we will have fresher tyres, but it's a long pit lane here. It's a long pit lane. And it's quite a slow pit lane, I think, as well. I think you're limited to 40 miles an hour. I don't think it's one of the 100km/h circuits like you have at some of the Grand Prix tracks. As Julian Retzi still just about holding on to that place, but Seago is getting closer and closer. And you can see these guys aren't too far off either. Francois Ramos, once again, having a good drive. He's only just behind Richard Jepp after Jepp, of course, ran most of this race in 3rd place, but got a slowdown just as he was overtaken for 3rd. And he's a little bit further back. Mercer versus Crisp is going on. And Crisp is nearly past. Couldn't quite get it stuck. Crisp has been following Mercer actually for quite a while. These two have been very close to one another. They're about 6 seconds behind Fabian Siegmann further up the road. And of course, we're going to find out in a moment as well whether the LMP2s will pit on this lap. Of course, we're not quite at halfway yet. So, like, if they can go the extra lap, it would be useful. But yeah, so I guess this is going to be what it's confusing where the leaders are, but this is their 10th lap. I guess it's a 21-lap race. So they've got to do a stint of 10 and a stint of 11. It's clear that Grosset is going to have to do a stint of 11 later on, unless, of course, they get lucky when it comes to the traffic in terms of being a number of laps down. Maybe that might make an influence, but so Grosseto is in. And he will take all the fuel he can possibly muster. Matthew Crisp, interestingly, went the extra lap, so that's really good news for Crisp to get the 11-lap stint over and done with in his first stint. And Grosseto, they'll all take tyres. There's no point in not taking tyres. Apart from the fact that I think sometimes the tyres can be a little bit cold, but that's not too bad. GTPs are into the pits as well, so they're not bothering going a little much further. Of course, with them taking tyres as well, they'll be thinking, let's even out the tyre usage between the 2 sets. So some of them have continued on and will just try to burn as much fuel as they can. But yeah, for Tamas and for his teammate Turoshki, they just want to get fresh tyres now. And cause a little bit of pressure now on Turoshki. Well, there's not that much he can do at the pit stop, but he'll be hoping that his gap doesn't randomly go down. Sometimes you can inexplicably use a bit more fuel than someone else, maybe just down to driving style, and your gap can go from 5 seconds to 2 seconds, but with Tamas not really having any draft, I doubt there'll be much of a difference in the pit stop times. Out of the pits comes Grosseto. Williams has gone past. Williams was stationary for much shorter than Grosseto. Of course, didn't need to take a full tank, did Williams, so he's now well ahead, but has got to make another pit stop. Grosseto will be aiming to go to the end of the race here. Turoshki still ahead of Tamas. The gap has come down. It was, I think, 4.5 seconds down to 3 seconds now. So, not ideal for him. Seago was also another driver who came to the pit. Probably smart for Seago. He had yet to overtake Retzi, I believe. So his pit will now get an undercut when it comes to these tyres. Of course, it is carrying more fuel, which will cost him down the straights, but I think the extra pace he'll have through the corners will be enough. No threat of rain, of course, tonight. That would be a very interesting element when it comes to one of these 75-minute races. But yeah, no risk of rain. But we might get it later on in the season. Yet to have a ARL prototypes race with rain. We had 9 races last season, I think, and none of them were wet. Suzuka, it rained 5 minutes after the race ended, but that was the closest we got to rain for the entire championship. So hoping this season that we do get some rain, albeit the GTP drivers would willingly not have that. So we'll see what happens. It was a very good Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup race, of course, last week on Tuesday at Indianapolis. And yeah, that was in the wet, very wet conditions. Started raining midway through Heat 2, and yeah, it was absolute chaos. One driver started on the wets on a dry circuit, and they won the whole race as an amateur, starting 14th on the grid. So that was good stuff, and hopefully we get a bit more of that action in this series at some point. But yeah, certainly not today, despite the fact that it is a very overcast and chilly day. Le Mans in sim. We're watching Matthew Crisp, one of the drivers who came into the pits. Oh, sorry, did not come into the pits, and that is why he's leading. Ahead of Wilby, half of Darson as well. He managed to do the extra lap, so that's good news for him, and actually a few others as well. So maybe the 11 laps isn't actually as tough as what I thought it was. But yeah, they're not going to go beyond 11 laps. They got to the 40 minutes, so they'll be able to sprint as hard as they like for the second part of the race. Julian Vetti as well, you could just see the GTP behind them. Fortunately for him, did not get held up in the pit lane entry, because you're not overtaking in the pit lane entry. Just got to make sure that you don't get a silly penalty. Not exactly sure what the penalty is when it comes to cutting the pit lane entry, but Vetti will not pick it up. He seemed to be nice and clean. Prieto also into the pits. Jep and Crawford and Marone will be the last driver to come in. And I wonder if we could stay on board actually with Julian Vetti, because I think the GTPs might have the new fancy like ERS pulling away from the pits system. I think that's been added, and it sounds just really cool. So I'll be quiet for a moment, and you can listen to it. Okay, no, they haven't changed it. I think it's next build maybe that they're changing it. I certainly remember hearing something about it, and I think that may have been when iRacing were talking about the changes that they were making to the GTPs, when, of course, they changed the tire model earlier on in this build, and it made the cars very, very quick. And I think in order to temper the flames, they said they released the that engine footage. But next builds, we will get some nice sounds as the ERS is used in the pit lane rather than the internal combustion engine, and it sounds really, really cool. So Rizzi back out onto the track, and he's still ahead actually of Antonino Seago. So Seago's actually lost a place in all that. He's behind Prieto as well. So Seago, who pitted 1 lap earlier than Rizzi and Prieto, he's lost out a bit there. Don't think that was exactly in the plan for Seago, but I think he's got more than enough pace to bring it back. Francois Ramos is ahead now of Richard Jep. I don't think that was the case before, but Ramos, actually in eternal fortunes for the drivers who pitted 1 lap early, is ahead now of Jep. I think he jumped him in the pit stop, or maybe he just overtook him. No, yeah, I think he did go past him during the pit stop. So yeah, Ramos up into 6th place now overall, and you can see how, yeah, the pros and the AMs are very much intertwined down the order. Generally, the pros and the AMs are separated by iRacing, but also a little bit down to previous ARL results and also experience on iRacing. Of course, if you've only got 50 races under your belt, your iRacing or your ELO might not be representative of your pace. That is very, very close. And Prieto gets that. Oh, Prieto's round and contacts. Digo did not get out of the way. And Prieto, who was having such a good time of it, up there in 2nd place in division. And he might even be behind Cedric Holborn. He might not even be on the podium in a second. Fortunately, the ERS gets him back up to speed nice and quickly. But yeah, that is bad news there for Hugo Prete. And I think that was all by himself. He was really defending hard, had to carry a lot of speed into Marcinko in order to hold off the attacking Antonino Seco. And or was it, maybe it was Junior. Oh, and we've got another off, and it's Prieto again. It is Prieto again. He has slapped the wall. Now that is a tyre barrier, so it might not be curtains for him. I don't know if you could see what the steering's like in that car, but it seemed like a pretty hefty hit. Yeah, there's no steering damage. He will continue on, and honestly, aesthetically, the car looks fine. So down the straights, he shouldn't be too bad. Maybe just testing out the steering there before he approaches the Porsche curves at 150 miles an hour. Oh, that's a bit of understeer there. I mean, Hugo is not liking these corners. I mean, he went off first at a left-hander, now he's barely making the right-handers, and he's pushing that as well. Yeah, I don't know if he... Oh, he's got a slowdown as well. You could see how he was pushing it too much through Maison Blanc. And now he is into the pit, so is that a meatball for him? Once again, it didn't look too bad, but could be an instant limit thing, but I doubt it. They are limited to 20 instants, are these drivers, before getting a drive through. That is awful news for Hugo Prieto, who was overwhelmingly the favourite in the amateurs going into this race. Really felt like he could maybe even get an overall podium today. But he's far from that now. Just wonder if he's going to take a stop or whether he's just going to drive straight through. No, he is taking a stop. Hopefully he hasn't already used his fast repair. He hadn't, so Prieto stationary for 4 seconds, he's taken a fast repair, and he'll go back out on circuit. But yeah, that whole ordeal has lost him, yeah, lost him a lot of time. So bad news for Hugo Prieto, down to 13th place now overall. John Williams, by the way, still leader in the LMP2 overall, and interestingly, he's now 16 seconds ahead of Fabio Grassetto, which is a lot larger gap than it was before. But we've also got this battle going on. Balint Palla versus Matthew Crisp. Both these guys got past Nick Mercer. Mercer had wasn't that long a pit stop, honestly, for Mercer, but he lost out anyway. He's now 5 seconds behind these guys, because Crisp was sat behind Mercer for the first stint. Wilby also got past. Albeit Wilby had a slightly longer pit stop. I think maybe Wilby was ahead the whole time. But yeah, Palla has had a good time of it, just passing driver after driver. He now finds himself only 11 seconds behind Fabio Grassetto in second place. Albeit he was one of the drivers who pitted on lap 10, for those who's just tuning in. As Grassetto has lost out to Siegmann. Siegmann has got past. Seemingly, Grassetto may have been a bit wide the Mulsanne corner. Looked like he was kicking up quite a bit of gravel on corner exit. And the German has got past. Grassetto is up into second place. And that could be the race lead, because we're not quite sure what's going on in the strategy. For those who's just tuning in, for the LMP2s, it's a 21 lap race, we believe, unless like something happens with the GTPs, with the way that the GTPs lap, and I think it will be a marginal 2 lap advantage that the GTPs have. Maybe they will force an extra lap on the LMP2s, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, the LMP2s have got to do 21 laps, we believe. Some of them did a 10 lap first stint, and so will have to save fuel for an 11 lap second stint, and some of them vice versa, they've already done their 11 laps. So arguably it should be the second stint which is easier to do the longer stint, because you don't have to do that extra little formation lap, which does burn through a bit of extra fuel. But Siegmann and Grassetto both went for a 10 lap first stint, and then will have to fuel save in this stint. John Williams did something that pretty much no one else did. He's doing a 2-stop, which at the moment has brought him a 16-second lead with new tyres and not having to fuel save at all. But I seriously doubt will work. I think he will do well to finish in the top 5, but I don't know, if it turns into a 22 lap race, and all of a sudden he's probably going to win the race, because I'm not sure if anyone is equipped do 22 laps in the LMP2s. Pala is still just behind Crisp, yet to pull off that overtake. They go through the Dunlop chicane and now down the hill into the Tetra Rouge S. And then this is proper, well, this is Virage du Tetra Rouge. And then, of course, well, this little one, apparently it's called Curb Dentares. And then Dieres as well. Even though we just call them the Milestone Straight, there are a couple of kings which do have their own names, which is pretty cool. Probably named after the various establishments right next to the circuit. As Pala looks like he has got past this time. And he's up into 22nd place overall, and he's 4th out of the LMP2s. That is impressive. For a guy who started way down the order, he's made up a lot of places. Good work from Balint Pala. And yeah, 2nd place out of the pros, 4th place overall in the LMP2s. Fabian Siegmann is barely ahead of Fabio Grassetto. Grassetto trying to get back that position, which we believe is the battle for the race win. Because Williams needs to pit again. By the way, another shout out to our title sponsor for this series, RACEDATA AI. If you want to get faster on iRacing or several other sim racing platforms as well, RACEDATA AI is a user-friendly telemetry tool which will help you improve your performance, providing clear and simple insights into driving data, really highlighting your mistakes in any places, any corners on a track where maybe you could be gaining a bit of time. The drivers in this series will get a free subscription to RACEDATA AI, so big thanks to RACEDATA AI, and big thanks to them for supporting the sim racing community. And yeah, certainly do check out their link in the description below. Certainly, yeah, see what it's all about. They've got some pretty good images of the type of graphics that they display on their app, and yeah, it looks very intuitive and helpful in order to yeah, help you gain a better performance. It's the closest battle out here on circuit. And of course, so often we come to Le Mans, and I have said it a few times, but the LMP2 cannot stress it enough. It has so little draft. And so, if this was like any other car, you sometimes see like Pesk join this circuit. And yeah, it's just crazy. You don't want to be the leader going on to the last lap, you want to be like 2nd or 3rd. And that's in a Porsche Cup. Not exactly the most drafty car in the world. And then you have these LMP2s, where even when a driver is genuinely faster, still can struggle, despite the absolute Goliath straights we have here at Le Mans. This is Paul Crawford diving his way on the inside. And Crawford is passed. Now up to 19 seconds. John Williams is over a second a lap faster than these drivers. That is how the gap has increased over the last few laps. Of course, he pitted a little bit earlier. That's why the gap was so large the other way before. But yeah, that's how it's grown over the last few laps. And it's, I mean, it's very consistent. I mean, that's not traffic. That is being a second and a half a lap faster each lap. And of course, in the first stint, that wasn't the case. But yeah, I think it does just come down to, not even the tyres. Of course, Williams has got even older tyres. But yeah, it is just down to not having to fuel save. And looking at Balint Pala now, Pala's only 6 seconds behind Siegmann and Grassetto. Now the bad news for, I mean, what I'm confused about is that Pala's got to fuel save as much as Siegmann and Grassetto. They both pitted on 10 laps and have got to do the longest stint in this second stint. So Pala is absolutely storming along, and the Hungarian really has a shot at getting a last to first here, which would be crazy for SDK Esports. Oh, and off in the background. It's not... it is Cedric Holbom. That's a shame for Cedric. He was hanging onto the back of that pack of Retty, Segro, Jep, Ramos. But he now finds himself in the clutches of the virtual drivers by TX3 driver of Benoit Favre for 7th place overall. And Faveur's got some decent pace, so Holborn might struggle to hang on. Great to see Simray Sweden, of course, out there. Former F3 champions in the in the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 championship. I think one season even managed to get a 1-2-3 in the Drivers' Championship. They were absolutely dominant in that car. Also dabbled around, of course, Tobias Olsen drives a lot in the Porsche Cup car nowadays. I think he's about 8K or something. Dabbled around in the ARA Porsche Cup series, but yeah, good to see Simray Sweden being represented in this series for one of the first times. And yeah, despite that slight mistake before, Cedric has been very impressive so far today. In the front of the GTPs, by the way, Taroshki still leads. Just gone up to 5.5 seconds. I don't know if Tamas just made a mistake. Maybe got a... Yeah, I think Tamas just got a slowdown. Lost 1.2 seconds in the first sector of this lap. So the gap's up to 5.8 now. And Taroshki's advantage over his teammate still coming to fruition. We've got 20 minutes of this race to go. And as long as they put enough fuel in the car, they should be safe. Taroshki actually did put in more fuel than Tamas on that last pit stop. 2.5 seconds more, so he's definitely not going to be struggling for fuel. He should be absolutely fine. That's actually, Tamas is racing with Nucera a lot, but I don't know if that's why he lost a bit of time a moment ago. But yeah, Nucera's like right with, but of course, as a lap down is Simone Nucera. Now the rules when it comes to the blue flags in this is, once you're being lapped, if a driver behind gets within half a second, you have to let them pass. But of course, if you're trying to unlap yourself, it's a little bit more fiddly than that. You are allowed to unlap yourself, but really there's no motivation for Nucera. He might catch up to Laubscher by the end of this race, or it probably won't. It's 10 seconds to gain, and Laubscher's got some decent pace up there. So yeah, very frustrating day for Nucera because he had enough pace to certainly fight for the podium. Maybe even battle these Manatee Racing drivers, but yeah, that will have to wait for another day. Favre, by the way, got past Holborn, and also Marone might be overtaken by Prieto, and Prieto is getting past. Remember, Prieto had to take a fast pit earlier on. He slapped the wall at Indianapolis, which gave him an odd amount of damage. Didn't seem aesthetically to be any issue. We didn't see any damage on his front right. And we didn't see anything on the steering either. But he came into the pits, took a meatball, or took a fast repair, and has been recovering since. He might get, he should get 2 more places. He's got Christian Maltrek, he'll easily catch up to Maltrek. I think the one he'll be looking for is Paul Crawford, 12 seconds up the road. Crawford's got some decent pace up there. Prieto's just over a second lap faster, so he needs to be gaining a couple of seconds a lap in order to catch up. I think he will do it, will Prieto, and recover some important points. But this was meant to be a points haul, really, for Hugo Prieto today. He took pole in the GTP AMS, and he's gone wide. That's where he went off as well earlier on, making just a few too many mistakes as the Portuguese. He had already lost the lead to Julian Vetti, but we're still looking for a solid second place. I'm tuning back in again with the LMP2s, and this is a fascinating battle when it comes to the LMP2s, because Balint Pala is now only 4 seconds behind Fabio Grassetto. Now that gap was over 10 seconds a while back. Yeah, it is. Yeah, look at that. It was 12 seconds just I mean, that's not even many laps ago. That was basically just after the pit stop. It was 12 seconds. So really is surprising that he's able to take this much gap down. And once again, I think it is just because Siegmund and Grassetto are having to save fuel, but I don't know if Pala has just got amazing fuel conservation, is able to save the fuel, or whether he's just not thinking about the fuel and hasn't realised that he's going to be a lap short on fuel. I'm not sure. He's bringing along with him Matthew Crisp and Aston Wilby. So genuinely any one of Williams, Siegmund, Grassetto, Palla, Crisp and Wilby could win this race. And that's not an exaggeration, because with the fuel situation, it really does look open. Here comes John Williams then. He's taking his second pit stop. He's the only driver on a two-stop strategy. Besides Lucas Diaz, we believe he's also on a two-stop. So, Williams, will he take tyres? I'm not sure, because he's only got to take 16 seconds worth of fuel. Already, Siegmund is moving past. Here they go. So that's the amount of time that Williams has got to try to gain back. Did Williams take tyres? I'm not sure if he's on the jacks at the moment. He is on the jack, so he is taking tyres. There's just about enough fuel to take that he doesn't lose any time with the tyres, I assume. He's still stationary and still taking a bit more fuel. Yeah, so he pretty much lined up perfectly. 24 seconds stationary for John Williams. And we'll see where he comes out. He's behind Nick Mercer. He'll be just behind Michael Harfler-Darson. Or just, you know, he'll be ahead of Harfler-Darson. Harfler-Darson just coming across the start-finish line now. So Williams finds himself 27 seconds behind Siegmund. Now, he was lapping about 2 seconds a lap faster, 3 seconds a lap faster. So you'll gain back probably most of that, honestly. You'll gain back another 15 seconds of that. But I don't think it's the right call from Williams. I don't think that's a hot take or anything. I think that's something that everyone else in the LMP2s will be agreeing. Paul Busby, he disagrees with me. He in chat. John Cooking. Paul, let me know if I'm missing something. Like, does everyone need to take a second pit stop or something? Because I'm not seeing it right now. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how he does. We'll see if those fresh tyres get him a bit of time as well. That'll help him on his way. Siegmund barely ahead of Grassetto. He still has to wait behind. To be fair, Grassetto, there's not really any motivation for him to pass. Like if he's saving fuel in the draft here, you wouldn't want to pass right now. But Palla, you can see Palla. He's now only 1.75 seconds behind. Archie Heron letting us know, swear LMP2 fuel lasts 10-11 laps. Yep, we agree on that one, Archie. Fantastic to have you along. And you know a lot more about this car than I do. So do let us know any other tidbits you have. But yeah, there's the situation we believe is 21 lap race. Some of the drivers did 10 laps in the first stint, some of the drivers did 11 laps in the second stint. So some are having to fuel save right now. But yeah, we'll see if it pulls out for John Williams. Williams has actually been caught by Harfler-Darson. Did he have a poor sector or something? Not particularly. Maybe Harfler-Darson's just found some pace now. Maybe his illness has worn off as the race has gone on. But yeah, it's been a disappointing day for Michael. But it is points, at least for him, which is something he did not get back at Monza due to not attending the round. Barely ahead of Joris Ooms. Actually had a pretty bad lap that last time I did Harfler-Darson, lost a couple of seconds. But they should get past Lucas Diaz, who's still got a pit ahead of them. Tony asking in chat, what classes are in the race? So we've got the GTP cars, or the Hyper cars, or the LMH cars, or the LMDH cars. There's lots of names for them. But yeah, there are the GTPs is the most commonly used term. And of course we've got all the GTPs. We've got the Porsche and the BMW and the Cadillac and the Ferrari, and that is an overtake and that was Palla, so again past Grassetto. That is a very significant move there. So Palla up into second place now. Grassetto has fallen off the back of Siegmund quite a lot. We've got 12 minutes to go, and still, once again, any one of 6 drivers could win this race. Palla sets his sights now on Siegmund up ahead. And it looks like it's a matter of time, really. It's a matter of when, not if. Because on that last lap, Palla gained by 1 second. He now finds himself 2 seconds behind. And Grossetto's now 2.5 seconds behind, so I feel like, I mean, fuel saving is one thing, but I think he's probably just got picked up a slowdown there as Grossetto. So, yeah, issues for him. Archie letting us know in chats how 12 laps is the maximum. Yeah, I agree with that one, Archie. That is with a lot of fuel saving. So yeah, you would think the 11 laps would be all right, but yeah, they are. Yeah, once again, Williams did not fancy doing 10 and 11. He decided to do a 2-stop. And of course, yeah, we're still waiting whether the leaders in the GTPs will lap these guys and force them to do an extra lap. I don't think they will do. So yeah, maybe this will be a 22-lap race. Maybe it will be. Apologies to anyone who's watching along and getting bored of me basically thinking out loud when it comes to this strategy. It might be very boring, but that is sort of the situation we're in. And yeah, pace is one thing, but if you can't get to the end of the race on fuel, then it's all fairly irrelevant. Hugo Prieto has just moved past Christian Maltrek. We knew that he was going to get that one. He's up into 10th place now, is Prieto. He will try to catch up to Crawford, but I don't think it will happen for him by the end of the race. That's the battle for 9th and 10th. In the GTPs, it's calmed down quite a bit in the GTPs. Retzi looking sort of alright in the 3rd place. He did just lose about a second on that last lap, well 7/10 to Seago, so watch out for that one. Retzi versus Seago for 3rd place overall. Then we've got the battle between Ramos and Favre. Faveur's come back strong, hasn't he, in this race? He got ahead of Holborn and might catch up to Ramos as well. He's 4/10 faster on that last lap. That'd be quite a result. Of course, both these guys at their home race. Marone has just got past Maltrek as well, by the way. So he's up to 11th now overall. But yeah, Favre... apologies, no, I was reading it wrong. I thought Favre was catching up to Ramos. My apologies. That was Holborn just staying close to Favre. So my bad on that one. That is not a battle worth watching. Crisp has got past Grossetto as well. Well, these two are teammates, remember. But Grossetto is struggling. I wonder if Grossetto is banking on this being a 22-lap race. Because he is so slow right now. And it's hard as well because he's been saving fuel for like the majority of this stint. And so, like, how is it that Siegman is just pushing on? I mean, Pala has not lifted at all in this race, and he's pushing on. And yet Grossetto, maybe is, I don't know, just got the nerves and is convinced that there's going to be one extra lap compared to these other guys. But Matthew Crisp, I think, is looking in a fantastic position now. Did I just hear a little bit of lifting there for Pala? Maybe that's just the line that you take. Oh, a little bit offline for Siegman. He overshots it. Pala might have a shot at him. Already into the Dunlop curves. Waits in behind. Wilby is now past Grossetto. Grossetto is lapping 6 seconds off the pace. He'll be caught by Williams at this rate. Williams now 28 seconds off the lead, by the way. Hasn't really made that much time up, albeit he was a couple of seconds faster in that last lap. But it didn't have a great outlap, I think. Pala closing in. This for the lead in the LMP2s with 8 minutes to go, but he is lifting. So maybe Pala has now got the message, or maybe he just didn't fancy the overtake. But this isn't Formula E. We don't know what the energy levels of each of the cars is, unfortunately. We just have to guess. And that is all we have to go by. Will Pala go for it this time? I don't think he's anywhere near close enough to go for a move, even if he wanted to. Matthew Crisp now 5 seconds behind these guys. Crisp actually had a bit of a rubbish lap that last time round. It wasn't that bad a lap, to be fair for Crisp, but it wasn't his best. Can do 34s, and he was in the high 35s that last time around. Still, the clouds looking really ominous, but trust me, there really is no rain on the radar. But as well as the sun, I think, getting a little bit dark as well. It's just getting a little bit apocalyptic out there. It's ominous. Maybe that's a better word. Looking ominous out there. Still Siegman holding on. to that place. Ivo Laubscher's passed Matt James, and Simone Nucera has overtaken Matt James. So, and Nucera might get past Laubscher as well. That's the very insignificant battle for 15th place overall, but this battle is much more significant. Siegmann lifting off again. Crisp has got the gap down to 4.5 seconds on this lap. We've got 6 minutes to go. And I'm trying to fit. Oh, look at that lift as well. He's so early on the brakes before, so early off the throttle before Arnage. So the leaders are halfway round the lap. So yeah, the leaders aren't going to lap these guys. So the leaders will finish 1 lap clear of these drivers, and the leaders are going to do what? So this is lap 21 for the leaders. They'll start lap 22. So 23, so yeah, I think this is a 22 lap race, and therefore everyone who did 10 laps in their first stint are in an awful position where they have underfueled. The guys who did 11 laps in their first stint are going to have to fuel save a bit, but not too much. So I think Siegmann, and Palla's going to have to pit again, honestly. Siegmann might be alright, but Palla, with the lack of fuel saving he's done, there's no way he's going to do 12 laps on a single tank. So honestly, right now, I think Matthew Crisp is the favourite for this race win. And Crisp on that last lap, well, Siegmann with a 37.6, that's 3 seconds slower. Palla has started slowing down. 37.3, Crisp 35.1, 2.5 seconds faster. By the end of this lap, Crisp will be on the back of these guys. I'm trying to rack my brains whether Matthew Crisp has ever won an Apex Racing League race. I don't think he has. 5.9k is Matthew, so he's too good for the AMs. But he has, seen something here. And I think the reason why the drivers are confused is because the GTPs, if they were just a little bit faster, or if the LMP2s were just a little bit slower, then the GTPs would lap the LMP2s 1 extra time. And that would mean that they would only go 21 laps rather than 22. But because the GTPs won't quite double lap the LMP2s, it means that the LMP2s have to do that extra lap. Oh, here we go. Palla's going to go for it here. No, not quite. Siegmann stays ahead. 0.3 of a second the gap. Fabio Grassetto, by the way, down to 22nd place overall. He's almost being passed by Lucas Diaz, who didn't even do qualifying. We might have our 2nd place in the LMP2 AMs on the grid being overtaken by our last place starter. But that is how it's happened. In fact, Grassetto, I mean, quite incredibly actually, we've now got the top 4 LMP2s are all pros, which is like really strange. Because earlier on, I think it was, so we might have a change of position here. This is looking very good for Palla. And in that red, white and green livery representing his home nation of Hungary, he's got the inside line and he is passed. Now, is that the move for the win? Or is he going to have to pit at the end of this lap? Honestly, I think he's going to have to pit at the end of this lap, because they've still got 1 more lap to go, have these LMP2 drivers. In fact, they've got 2 more laps to go. That's the issue, isn't it? They've got 2 more laps to go. I don't think they've got the fuel to do it. Segro has got past Retti. He's just at the fastest lap of the race. And he's got past Julian Retti, but Retti's back in the draft. If Retti's going to get this overall podium, it should be an extra few points. Oh, Segro covers it off a bit late. And he's still having to... that's very... I think Retti will be annoyed with that. We've got a car on the wall. That is a... coming very close to the wall. Is that the 213 of Matt James? And... that's a huge hit into the wall. Was that James? I think it was. And that's the end of his day. He went off initially, rejoined. I don't know if there was a bit of contact when he rejoined. But he speared off to the right and into the... So Segro seemingly has held off Retti there, but I think Retti will probably submit in a protest. And he might have some success, because Segro seemed to change his line a dozen times on the run down to the 2nd chicane. There was no light flashing from Retti, but as Pala comes in. We're not surprised. I mean, we've still got 2 laps to go. And he had to pit. So, Siegmund moves back into the lead, but again, I think it's going to be short-lived. Diaz also came into the pits. So Diaz, so we knew Diaz was going to come into the pits. So yeah, because he took an early, he pitted after lap 9. So yeah, that was fairly obvious with that one. So it's now just a 1-2-3 for the pros. Remember, the pros and the AMs were literally amongst each other. I think at one point in this race, I think we had a 1-3-4 for the AMs. Oh, they're both wide. They're both wide. Oh man. Siegmund luring Crisp into a mistake, and Wilby's really catching up to these guys now. Wilby is right there. What I mean, in terms of a fuel race, and in terms of, dare I say, ill-prepared drivers, you're not going to get a better race than this. Crisp, I think, is still the favourite. Grosseto seemingly, no, Grosseto still hopelessly off the pace. Yeah, 6 seconds off the pace, so is Grosseto, but if he can pull this one off, he won't have to take the extra lap of fuel at least. You know what? Grosseto might be lapped. I was talking about the leaders being lapped. But yeah, that's awful news, I've just realised, for John Williams. So the GTP leaders are going to lap some of the LMP2s, and the ones who have got extra fuel, they're not going to be able to use it. As here comes Crisp. And this could be the move for the lead. No, Siegmund. Well, I mean, that's positive news for any Fabian Siegmund fans. Because he did not lift and coast that much there. But I wonder if but for Siegmund, he may as well just pit on the end of this lap. And then even if he has a slow pit stop, like, he will still be ahead of all the drivers who get lapped by the GTPs. So it's not bad, actually, for Siegmund. It's a weird race. It's a weird situation with how the GTPs are going to lap half the LMP2 field and how that affects the fuel. Look at Wilby. He's right there now, 6/10 behind. Crisp, honestly, I don't think Siegmund's even in this race. I think Siegmund's going to have to take, like, either fuel save massively on the last lap or pit on the last lap. But I think it's just a matter of who's going to win out of Crisp and Wilby. But Siegmund is holding up Crisp enough that it's bringing Wilby back into it. Crisp is again alongside, but he needs to have a bit more conviction, and he does have the conviction. He's passed, he's into the lead, and with just over a lap to go, he has a really good shot at winning this race. Just letting him go as Wilby. Yeah, there's no... Oh, well, Wilby hasn't run out of fuel, has he? I mean, he's not even close to the... Oh, Siegmund, sorry. Siegmund has... He's not spluttering. Well, he needs to beat... So, where's Taroshki on the track? So, he needs to stay ahead of Taroshki. Because then he guarantees himself P3, even if he comes into the pits. But this is a crazy end. But Grosseto is behind right now. Siegmund's just limping along. Can he get back to the pits before Taroshki? So... Taroshki is on his last lap. Here comes Taroshki. So he needs to get his foot down. He needs to really get his foot down. But he's very slow. So Taroshki is going to lap. So this is going to guarantee our top 2. I need Taroshki goes past. So Balázs Taroshki is going to win in the GTPs. It is a great response after being beaten by his teammate in round 1. But he is dominated from the start of practice, through qualifying and through the race. Balázs Taroshki wins round 2 of the championship. And all the LMP2s now who cross the line will not be able to do any more laps. So Grosseto crosses the line in the LMP2 AM lead. And in the end, it wasn't too bad for Siegmund. He finishes 3rd out of the LMP2s. The only 2 LMP2s who are still racing out there are Crisp and Wilby. And that was awful news for Williams because he wasn't able to use his extra fuel because he got lapped. Retty crosses the line. He's top of the GTP AMs. That's a really good performance from Julian Retty right there. And that is, yeah, good points for him because he had a bad race 1. Despite taking pole in round 1. So now we get to enjoy an entire lap of these guys battling. Crisp versus Wilby. Now, yeah, did they expect it to go 22 laps? I think they did. I think they've absolutely nailed this. Congratulations to them. 2 drivers who really did not feature at all in our conversations for winning this race, but I'm not sure how much of it was pre-planned. I don't know if they thought that the race was going to 22 laps, because what we've got to remember is that they started their last lap at 1 hour 16 and 30 seconds. So they started their last lap 1 minute 30 after the race was meant to end. But because, once again, this is such a long lap, these guys will finish, these guys will do an hour 21 of racing in an hour and 15 race. So I don't know if it was pre-planned that they thought that this race was going to go 22 laps, and they decided, let's do 2:11 laps. It's wide for Crisp, but Wilby's messed it up a little bit as well. Well, the opportunities for an overtake are running out. But, I mean, don't rule out one of these guys spluttering to the end. I mean, they both seemingly were pushing it into Marsan. Oh, maybe Crisp actually lifted, sorry, into Marsan. So maybe this will come to Aston Wilby. But there aren't many places to overtake left. Crisp lifting a little bit into Indianapolis. They've got Arnage coming up. Can Wilby go for the inside? He's going to go to the outside here. Doesn't get a good exit. That's a really bad exit for Wilby. It's an awkward corner to try to get the cutback. And from here, he really does need Crisp to splutter. Wilby certainly looks like the more confident on fuel. Everyone else in this race, I think, has crossed the line now. These are the last, well, Matt James is the only other one, but these will be the last two drivers across the line. The battle for the LMP2 victory overall. And Crisp is looking good at the moment. He's got 2 chicanes to go. Needs to make sure he doesn't pick up the slowdown. That looked all good, just about kept it within the white line. Aston Wilby will push as hard as he can. Maybe there was a chance at Arnage, but he went to the outside rather than the inside. Crisp lifting off big time into the final chicane. Does he have the fuel to accelerate to the line? We're about to find out. Crisp approaching the checker flag. Wilby tries to get underneath. Did Wilby get him at the end? I don't think he quite did. Crisp has won this race, and he has done it with no fuel to spare. What a fascinating strategy battle, and Crisp just about saved enough fuel in those closing stages. He absolutely nailed that one. He lifted off so much, and Wilby will be frustrated because he just lost too much time really at Arnage, and it made a move at the end impossible. And you can see he is coasting, is Crisp. It was 400ths according to our timing screen. Sometimes iRacing marks it as even closer than that. And had the start-finish line just been a little bit further down, we would have had a different winner. But what an incredible LMP2 battle. And in the GTPs, it was fairly simple, really, from the halfway stage. Toshki winning out ahead of Tamas. Seagrave did well to come back to 3rd place. Retty with really good points in the AMS. Jep, Ramos, Holborn, Favre, Crawford, Prater will be gutted with that one. Had to take a fast spell after a crash. Marone, Mautrek, Beidou, Nucera, Leung, and Kelso. Crisp did win it. That is the results confirmed. And it was ever so close. Unfortunately, we can't see on our screen exactly what it was. But yeah, according to our timing screen, it was 400ths across the line. There it was, just ahead of Wilby. Oh, look at that! No, it was even closer. Less than 200ths at the line. Man, that's incredible. They beat James in the end. And Grosseto was top of the AMS. Really disappointed for John Williams. He definitely had the pace. And, like, in a way, he sort of predicted, like, the correct strategy there. But by going the 22 laps, but, like, it was faster just to do 2 11-lap stints. It did not work out for him. And it worked even worse for him because he was lapped by the GTP leaders, whilst some of his rivals weren't. So had there been an extra lap, I think Williams would have finished probably in 3rd, because Grosseto didn't have fuel to go for another lap, Mercer didn't, and absolutely 100% a couple of the other drivers didn't either. But Siegmund didn't, that was the other big one. But because they were spared, only had to go 21 laps, he was spared. So disappointing for Williams there, just with the way that the traffic worked out. We will get an interview with some of our judges. Oh, we've got loads of judges waiting for an interview, which is really great to see. I want to chat with Matthew Crisp, who joins us now. Matthew, well done. That is that like for me, that was a really fun race to commentate on, to try to figure out the strategy. Talk us through. Did you think it was going 22 laps? Because it was a weird situation with where the GTPs were, which forced you onto that 22nd lap.
Yeah, my fuel calculator said it was going to go 22 laps, basically the entire race. And then, as the race was going on, I was hitting my fuel target. I was like, please go 22 laps, because I knew I was in a really good position. And then, yeah, I saw the GTPs coming with a couple of laps to go, and I was like, oh no, please don't overtake, because I've done all this fuel saving now for nothing. But yeah, fortunately, it all just about worked out, and just about held on for the win.
Yeah, that was an insane final lap. I mean, yeah, I mean that runs the line. I mean, did you think you had it going into that final chicane? Did you think you had enough fuel? I mean, what was the fuel telling you on that last lap in terms of whether you're going to make it or not?
It wasn't good. But I had a gap at the time, and I was like, as long as he doesn't get in draft range, I was thinking I should be okay, but I need to fuel save a lot. And I was thinking, well, if I fuel save hard in the first half of a lap, the second half of a lap, I'll just go flat out, and what will be, will be. And yeah, literally as I came into the last chicane, I knew I had that 0.3, the dreaded 0.3 amount of fuel left. So I was like, please be enough to get me to the line, and it just about was.
Yeah, that is yeah, one of the closest finishes we'll see all year, and in one of the longest races as well that we broadcast on the channel as well. So quite incredible stuff there. I mean, looking ahead to the rest of the season, I mean, a race win here, that's good points for yourself, and you're going to be near the summit of the championship. I mean, what is the aim for this season? Do you think you can maybe battle with, obviously Michael's going to be a big favourite, Benjamin was very strong in round one. How do you think you stack up against those guys?
Coming into the season, I was, well, even coming to Monza, I was like top 5 in class, so I'll be happy with. And yeah, Monza didn't go particularly great for me, but still got P4 in class. So at least that's decent points. And yeah, I knew I'd be quick here, but I didn't expect the win. I know I messed up qualifying. I should have been on par, and I beat myself up a bit over that. But got the win in the end. And yeah, championship, I mean, yeah, who knows? I'm not really thinking about it too much. I think top 3 would be amazing in the championship, but at this early stage, yeah, not really thinking about it too much.
Well, you certainly put yourself in a solid position, Matthew. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Just everyone at Alcantech, yeah, for all the support they give week in, week out. And I know they'll watch all the races, and yeah, it's great to repay them with a win.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Matthew, and best of luck for next week.
Thank you.
Matthew Crisp there, your winner in the LMP2 Pros. Let's next have a chat with Balazs Tarowski, who joins us now. Balazs, congratulations. That is a really good win for yourself. I mean, it just looked like you were in a different level today. I mean, in practice you were fastest, obviously in qualifying you had the pace, and in the race as well. Obviously we sometimes see Norbert get the better of you as we saw at Monza, but was it just a case of, you know, Le Mans, you loved this circuit and that was why you managed to do so well?
Yeah, thanks guys. I think so, yes. And also I think I had a clean race. I think if you add up Norby's slowdowns, I guess it could have been close, but yeah, I just try to keep it clean, because I know from officials that you can lose a lot of time, so just did my best.
Absolutely. And talk us through sort of the fuel situation out there. We saw you guys pit on the halfway mark. Was that just to get like the freshest tyres across the race?
No, I was out of fuel. I had like 0.9 of a lap to go, and I saw some LMP2s in front, and I was like, the difference in fueling, you know, that 0.1 more, it's not going to be a lot, so I pitted. And Norbert as well, he came in for the same reason, so we went together. But it was quite close in the end. I had to save just a little bit, but yeah, it was just a case of being out of fuel then.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because yeah, I was thinking that maybe you guys deliberately pitted earlier, but yeah, the fuel consumption around the circuit is really fast. heading to Algarve next time out, or Portimao. Have you been able to do much racing around that circuit yet? Of course, it's one of the newer circuits to the service.
Yeah, no, I've never raced around there, so that's gonna be interesting. Maybe, I don't know, with the weather, could be also a fun circuit, but yeah, we'll see.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck to go back to back for that one. Balash, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my team, we have a endurance race this weekend, so let's do the best.
Awesome. Best of luck for that one, Balash, and yeah, we'll see you back next time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That was Balash Turovsky, winner in the GTP Pros. Next up, we'll have a chat with our GTP AM winner, Julian Retty, who joins us now. Julian, congratulations. That is a really strong result out there. P4, very nearly a P3 as well. Talk us through that race, because it seemed like it was a very close one. I mean, particularly the first half of the race, it seemed like a battle of 5 drivers or so for that third place on the track.
Good evening, everyone. First, sorry for my English. I'm French, so my accent is is very clear. Yeah, very good race for me. Qualifying very tricky with the car. Very struggle on the curbs. I started P5, I think. I lost the position. For the race, it's the same. The car is very tricky. I did a lot of training for training this track, and I stay calm on one part of this race. The minutes are very long. So yeah, very happy to win in this category.
Absolutely. Talk us through your battle with Segro near the end of the race, because you two seemed very evenly matched.
Yeah, very nice battle. Yeah, I'm not the best for that, but yeah, it's very good to battle with the big sim racers. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Well, thank you for joining us, Julian. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, or any thanks to? Anyone watching?
Yeah, I want to thank the team because we did a lot of training with Benoit, with Ludovic. So thanks for the guys. Thanks for the support. I would say thank you for each of the members of the TX3. So yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for chatting with us, Julian, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Good evening. Good night.
Julian Retty there, your race winner in the GTP AMs. We'll have a chat with our LMP2 AM winner. It's Fabio Grassetto, who joins us now. Fabio, how are you feeling right now? Because in a way, that maybe was a race win that got away from you. But in another way, with the fuel situation, with a few laps to go, I feel like that could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, I still have to process everything that happened in my race. Because in the first stint, I was trying to fuel save, but then I was also in the front pack. So I didn't want to lose too much time from the guys in front, but also I wanted to do fuel saving, and at the end, in the first stint, I couldn't do the extra lap that, for example, Crispy did, and then I tried again in the second stint. I was still not doing it, but I was saying like it was too late now to start pushing. So yeah, I just kept the fuel saving more and more. There was a point that I like used 2 liters less than a normal lap in this car. Yeah, that was very tricky. In the end, I just got the white flag just before the start of the last lap. I think I could have done it, maybe. But also I had John behind, that was like 5 seconds behind. So yeah, it would have been really close.
Yeah, it would have been very close. Yeah, because John was full fuel and was able to catch you guys up. But yeah, what was the battling like out there as well for most of that race? I mean, it was particularly with Fabian, it seemingly that you were fighting. What was the overtaking like? I mean, were you deliberately waiting behind Fabian trying to save fuel, or was it just really tricky to overtake?
Yeah, no, there wasn't much fighting for my side. Also because he is a pro, I just didn't want to overtake him, because also if you go out from the slipstream, you can't fuel save as much as when you are behind. In fact, when in the first stint, I think he got a slowdown and he let me by. I was not that happy. Maybe for the first time I wasn't really happy that my opponent got a slowdown. Yeah, maybe with a bit more fuel saving will be quite easier for me for the race, but in the end it finished well.
Well, thank you for having a chat with us, Fabio. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Well, to Crispy this time, because he was like telling me how much fuel saving to do all the race. Yeah, I trusted him. It had worked really well for him and also for me at the end. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with us, and yeah, see you back next week.
Bye. Thank you.
And I think we'll have a quick interview just to round off with John Williams as well, because John led for a long time. John, talk us through the strategy. I'm going to give you a platform here to justify your strategy, because from where I was sitting, it didn't look like it worked, unfortunately.
Good evening. Well, for starters, it was a massive mistake on my end. I started with IMSA fuel instead of topping up. I clicked the wrong setup and I didn't want to exit the grid in case everyone gridded up. So that was a massive mistake. And then when I seen the guys fuel saving behind, I was like, I've got to push. Like, I had no other choice but to push, just so I can gain time from the beginning, because I knew the last stop was gonna mess everything up. I knew that well in advance. But when I seen Willoughby and Crispy doing that extra lap than everybody else, I knew it was game over from that point. So yeah, it just had to be, while everyone was fuel saving, it just had to be a full on push. And now I am sitting in a bucket of water right now, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that now makes sense with the interview. I was really confused as to why you'd go for the 2-stop deliberately, but yeah, that makes total sense now with the reduction of fuel for that first. And I mean, I don't want to rub it in or anything, but like, really frustrating with the way that worked out on that last lap, right? Because I think you guys being overtaken by the GTPs and not being able to go to 22, I think you would have probably got another 3 places or so. So what was your thinking going into those closing stages? I mean, were you expecting to go 22, or were you expecting the 21 stint?
Well, I seen Nick was on a 1-stop when I was catching about 2 seconds behind him, and then a GTP went off, which slowed him right down. And I thought, right, he's got a box. But then when I was trying to overtake him, I seen the GTP leader behind me, and then I knew that was it. I had to do the move there and then, and I tried around the inside, outside, or the corners throw me. But I tried to move on him and ended up going off, and that was the only chance I had. But I was fully expecting it to go to 22. And if I'm being honest, I tried, and this is how hard it is. So this is how much Crispy and Willoughby have got to take props. I tried to fuel save midweek countless amount of times to get that lap number, and yeah, it wasn't happening. So for me, it probably would have been a 2-stop regardless. I just can't get there. I'm not good enough to do that.
Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty more opportunities later on in the season. John, your qualifying pace was very strong, as of course was your race pace was at Monza. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just a shout out to Effect, otherwise Busby will have my head on a nail. yeah, the support of me, and also I've got support away from that team as well, which is really helping me as well. So it's good to have, and hopefully keep pushing. But Fabio, he's a very, very quick guy, and I've got my work cut out for me. 100% sure of that.
Yeah, really looking forward to you guys bouncing it out for that 250 quid this season. Yeah, best of luck for future rounds.
You take care, mate. Thank you.
John Williams there from Effect Simulations, finishing 3rd place, but yeah, I think he certainly had the pace potentially to battle for a race win. Well, that is pretty much it for us today. Once again, thanks to RACEDATA AI for sponsoring the broadcast. Do check out the link in the description below to check out the telemetry services that they provide. Really fantastic driver coaching that they offer with their software. So yeah, do check out RACEDATA AI. Link in the description below for more details. Of course, if you've enjoyed this broadcast, please do leave a like on it. And also subscribe as well to Apex Racing 2. We had another race earlier on the simware.eu events earlier on the channel, so that's worth watching. Tomorrow we've got ARL Porsche Cup, which is always so much fun. It's an extended endurance race at Hungaroring, I think, tomorrow, which is a bit weird, but yeah, will be good fun. It's usually a very good series, that. So worth watching that. And of course on Tuesday, also on Thursday, we have the return of Apex Racing League GT3 Trophy and the late Apex. On Friday we've got Radicals, we've got Rick Motec, loads of other series. So do check out Apex Racing TV. And of course check out the Apex Racing TV and the Apex Racing League social media channels as well on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, follow them for more content. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, and from Lee Thompson, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you back next week.